My name is Eduardo Peñalver. I'm the president of Seattle University, and I graduated from Henry Foss in 1990. After I graduated from Foss, I went to Cornell University in upstate New York, studied history there, and graduated in 1994, won a Rhodes Scholarship at Cornell, and so then I went to England to study at Oxford University, at Oriel College, where I did another degree in philosophy and theology. Finished there in 1996, and then started law school at Yale. Graduated from law school in 1999. I clerked 1 year on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit with Judge Guido Calabresi, and then 1 year at the U.S. Supreme Court for Justice John Paul Stevens. That was 2000. And then I practiced law in D.C. at a small law firm doing commercial litigation for 2 years before I started law teaching at Fordham University's law school in New York City in 2003. And then in 2006, I moved to Cornell Law School, where I was on the faculty until 2012. I left Cornell briefly to go to the University of Chicago to join the faculty there at the law school, and then returned to Cornell in 2014 to become dean of Cornell's law school. And I was in that role until last year, and then moved back here to start as Seattle University's first non-Jesuit president. Well, it's great. I never, mentally left, even though I was living on in the Northeast for 30 years. We came back every year for Christmas, and I usually come one other time to visit my family. My family's all still in Pierce County. 2 brothers in Tacoma, a brother and a sister in Puyallup, and my parents still live in the house that we grew up in. So this has always kind of mentally been home to me, and it's just terrific to be able to continue to grow professionally and be closer to home and closer to family, and in an institution whose values I really, really care about and share. Everyone in my family came to Foss High School. There were 5 of us, and we chose to commute here from Puyallup because of the International Baccalaureate program, which at the time was not as well known as it is today. There weren't, I think, any IB schools in the region, my parents really believed in the curriculum that IB offered, and so it just, it was worth the drive, and it was I think a great choice that they made on our behalf. And it was always a little weird being the kids from Puyallup at Foss. All our friends were here in Tacoma, and we were definitely geographic outliers. But I would say the draw of the IB program is what brought us here. What makes IB uniquely attractive and different from the other advanced placement type curricula is the comprehensive nature of the IB curriculum, the interdisciplinary nature of it, that really pushes you not just in one field where you happen to be strong, but pushes you in a holistic way to engage with your education and with knowledge in ways that reflect the interconnectedness of the various disciplines. So, some people are going to be naturally stronger in math or science. Some people are naturally better or more engaged with the humanities. And to succeed in IB, you really have to push yourself outside your comfort zones, and you start to see the interconnections between, what you're doing in literature and what you're doing in biology, which other high school curricula certainly don't provide you with the opportunity to do. My experience at Foss, I will say, was just life-changing. Before I got to Foss, I really struggled as a student. I struggled kind of as a student, not in the sense of struggling with the material, but in understanding myself as a student. And so, as much as the curriculum here was really important to me, it was more the climate, the environment at the school, the community, and my teachers, and how committed they were, and they made me feel like a student really for the first time, and helped me to understand that I could succeed, and that just changed the way I engaged with school. My experience at Foss was really driven by my teachers. I mean, the thing about my experience that most fundamentally changed how I understood myself as a student was the commitment of my teachers to all the students, but also the faith they expressed in me as a student. As a student, I remember my mom tells me the story about how when I was in fourth grade, you do these kind of standardized tests, and I always did really well on these standardized tests. And my she had the parent-teacher conference with my fourth grade teacher, and they went through this sort of how this might be, that I had done well on this test. And, they said, well, maybe he cheated. Like, there was just like this kind of, litany of, I mean, it was just a lack of, it was, and it was, I don't want to be too hard on them. I was, I think in some ways typical, but just sort of distracted in the classroom. I always had, good knowledge grades, but poor grades in conduct, and it was always a sort of marginal student in that regard, but that had an impact on how I saw myself in relation to school. Like, school was a place where I was chafing a lot, and the teachers at Foss just were so affirming, in their approach, that it made me feel like the classroom was a place where I belonged, and that then really just reoriented how I thought of myself as a student. At the time I was in high school, there were, and I think it's true today as well, there were a lot of programs that were pushing, especially students of color, into STEM fields, and I always saw myself as more of a science person than an historian or an English student. I mean, I enjoyed all those courses, right? But I think and again, I think this is part of the IB, the breadth of the IB curriculum. It really pushed me in those humanities fields and exposed me to rigor that just resonated for me. And so then when I got to college, although I started out with pre-med and kind of with a little more of a STEM focus, within a year I was a history major, and I think it was very much the kinds of questions that we were asking in my IB classes at Foss that pushed me in that direction, and then that led me into what ultimately became my career in law. So it really, I think it prepared me in a couple senses. I mean, one, it prepared me to hit the ground running in college and just not miss a beat making that transition from high school to college. I felt like I could compete with students from really elite private schools. It also prepared me in the sense of exposing me to fields of study that I would not have gravitated to on my own, and that opened doors, in my own thinking. I think what differentiates the IB program from other kinds of college-focused programs is the emphasis on not just the breadth, but the specific emphasis on writing. And I think that's the area where you get the most differentiation among students leaving high school going into college, because it's a very resource-intensive thing to teach. And yet, when you get to college, outside the hard sciences, the primary means of assessing students and the primary kind of forms of production are, long written exams, or an essay form, or long written papers, research papers, and people come to college not having had those experiences, not knowing how to write a long paper. So that something like the extended essay in the IB curriculum gives you an experience going into college that I would say most high school students don't have outside of private school settings, just that gives you a leg up, because you get to college and the instructors expect you to know how to organize a long essay, how to research a paper in any number of fields, and there are some common tools that apply really whether you're writing a paper in psychology or in history, right? Some common research and writing tools that the IB program prepares you to engage with. I have so many great memories of my time at Foss. One of the things that we had a group of us who were in student government. This isn't really a success story, but we were having a pep rally, and this is the only all-nighter I've ever pulled that was self-imposed. I've had in my work life had all-nighters that were imposed on me by my bosses, but I tend to work at a reasonable pace. We had this idea to create a video called Falcon Man, which was going to be a riff off Batman, and we were going to show it at the pep rally, and it involved like a Wilson High School, and they changed the name of the high school now, but it was Wilson High School, rival high school basketball player or something. This was our homecoming pep rally, and so he comes over to Foss and starts causing trouble, and then Falcon Man saves the day. And we thought this would be a brilliant idea, and we filmed we had all the raw footage put together, and then we had to edit it down. And this was in the days before laptop computer editing, so we were doing it with 2 VHS VCRs, and you'd kind of have to play the clip on one machine and record it on the other and stitch together a narrative that way. And it took us, we started at about 7 o'clock at night after dinner, and we thought we'd be done by 10 or 11, but we were working on it. We just didn't sleep. We worked on it until it was time to go to school the next morning. I don't know where the parents were, but we did this, and then we got to the pep rally, and the machine didn't work, and we lost it got jammed in the camcorder, and we lost the director's cut of Falcon Man, and we still talk about that, all of us, when we get together, and how much we regret that failure. And one of the 3 of us who worked on, actually there were 4 of us, went on to become a very successful film editor. He went to NYU Film School and was the lead editor on the Anthony Bourdain TV shows. And I think this is still one of his greater professional regrets. My advice to parents looking at Foss and at the IB program would be to really, do your comparison shopping. Compare the IB program to AP curriculum, to the AP curriculum, such as it is. There really isn't a curriculum, right? There are AP courses, and you can kind of choose your own adventure there. But the IB curriculum is really respected by colleges, by universities. It's well known, and I think in many ways the gold standard for college-focused high school curricula because of its comprehensive and interdisciplinary nature. I think it does more to prepare you for college than any other alternative. One other piece of advice would be to not fixate too much on the early the sort of college credit piece of it. I mean, I think that's valuable, and that's actually financially valuable, but it's maybe the least important part of what makes IB great. That it does give you a leg up. You can get advanced placement in college and credit, college credit for the upper level IB exam results. But that really to focus on that really understates the way that IB prepares you to just succeed in college. Historically, higher education has been a place that where students of color and low-income students have not seen themselves always. And the pathways into higher education are highly uneven, right? Especially based on income and parental education. And we just see the tools that universities have relied on for their admissions practices have really not been equally accessible and to students of all backgrounds. And that's changing, but it's still the case that something like the IB program at Henry Foss is exceptional in being giving you a set of tools to succeed in that world and in that transition into higher education in a public school setting, and that, for me, that was what was remarkable about it. Was, here's this thing, I mean, it's free. And it was like, it's free, and it just made it intellectually and also just educationally opened so many opportunities to the students who were here. And that's just a remarkable thing. It gave me the confidence to, go to an Ivy League school and just feel like I could jump into the classroom setting and participate and succeed without feeling like I didn't belong there. So it's just a real, I think what Foss has been doing now for decades is just a real gift.